All right, let's get into it. Today, we're cranking up the volume to talk about a sound that completely blew up the rulebook. We're talking about punk rock, the original three-chord revolution.
Okay, real talk for a second. You ever just scrolling through your feed, maybe on TikTok or something, and everything just starts to sound the same? Like you're hearing the same beat, the same vibe, over and over? Yeah, it can get super predictable.
Well, you know that feeling? Imagine an entire generation feeling that way, back in the 1970s. They were just like drowning in this sea of super slick, overproduced rock music, and they were desperate for something real, something raw. And their answer? It was fast, it was simple, and man was it loud. That was punk, and it was way more than just music. It was a full-on cultural explosion.
So what was this explosion all about?
Well, to really get punk, you gotta understand what it was pushing back against.
It was the total reaction.
And wow, the difference was night and day. So mainstream rock back then, think of it like a huge Hollywood blockbuster. We're talking Marvel-level special effects, super long epic stories, the whole deal. But punk? Nah. Punk was like a raw, shaky, totally unfiltered viral video you'd shoot on your phone. It was messy, it was immediate, and it was pure, real energy.
When it came to the actual sound, punk just stripped everything back. It wasn't about some 10-minute super technical guitar solo. No way. It was all about pure, raw energy. Here's a good way to think about it. If mainstream rock was some deep, complicated strategy game, punk was a button-mashing fighting game. It was loud, it was fast, and you could learn the moves in like 5 seconds. Seriously, 3 chords. That was all you needed to write an anthem.
And the look? Oh yeah, the look was just as big a deal as the sound. The fashion was all about do-it-yourself rebellion. I mean, people would take regular clothes, right, like jeans and jackets, and just go wild, ripping them, throwing on patches, putting safety pins everywhere. It's kind of like customizing your character's skin in a video game, but for real life. It was all about standing out and shouting, "I'm not playing by your rules."
But here's the thing, even more important than the sound or the clothes, punk had a message, a big one. The lyrics weren't about fantasy worlds or epic love stories. Nope, they were about real life, real frustrations. This was the sound of young people looking at the world, at politicians, at their teachers, at anyone in charge, and just calling out what they saw was wrong. The songs were straight to the point, brutally honest, and totally unfiltered.
And of course, there were the bands that basically defined this whole thing. You had the Ramones tearing it up in New York with these incredibly fast, super catchy tunes. Then over in London, you had the Sex Pistols, who were all about pure chaos and attitude. The Clash, they mixed that punk energy with these really powerful political messages. And out in California, the Dead Kennedys were using all this biting sarcasm to talk about what was going on in society. Every one of them had their own special flavor, you know?
Okay, but here's what's so cool about punk. It wasn't just about a few famous bands on a massive stage. The real power, the secret sauce, was the idea that anyone, and I mean anyone, could be a part of it. It was all about building your own thing from scratch.
I mean, look at this. This is basically the creator playbook from the 1970s. Seriously, think about it. Number 1, start a band. That's like deciding, hey, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. You didn't need to be a pro, you just needed energy. Then, you'd self-produce a record. That's like filming, editing, and uploading your own video. You'd create a zine, which was kind of like your own personal blog or subreddit. And then you'd book your own gigs in basements and clubs. That's basically doing your own live stream. It's the same idea.
Exactly. That's the whole point. You didn't just sit around and wait for some giant record label to notice you. No way. You went out, made your own stuff, found your own audience, and built a community from the ground up. It was the original viral movement, decades before the internet.
So let's talk about those zines for a second. Try to imagine this, a world with no Instagram, no TikTok, no anything. How do you find out about cool new bands? How do you share your thoughts? You made a zine. People would literally use typewriters and glue sticks, photocopy them, and pass them out at shows. This was their social media. It was the original Discord server, the first fan blogs. It was how everyone in the scene connected.
So yeah, punk came in with this huge explosion. But it wasn't just a flash in the pan. It didn't just disappear. Its impact left this massive echo, one that you can still totally hear in music today.
You can literally draw a straight line from that first spark. So after that first wave of punk, you get something called post-punk. It had the same energy, but it started getting a little more artsy and experimental. Then you fast forward to the early 90s and bam, you get grunge. Bands like Nirvana took that raw punk attitude, cranked up the guitars, and suddenly that punk DNA was on every radio station, at the very top of the charts. And that original sound,
It just blew up into all these different styles, all these different flavors. You got hardcore punk, which was somehow even faster and more aggressive. You got pop punk, which blended that energy with super catchy melodies. Then there was skate punk, which basically became the official soundtrack for an entire generation of skateboarders. Each one had its own scene, its own community.
And you gotta understand, this wasn't just happening in America or England. That simple, powerful idea, do it yourself, it went global. It spread like wildfire. You had musicians everywhere, from Japan to Brazil to Australia, hearing this stuff and thinking, we can do that too. And they took that core punk idea and mixed it with their own culture, their own issues, and created these amazing, unique scenes all over the world.
All right, we've talked about the sound, the fashion, how it changed everything, but what's the big takeaway here? Like, why does any of this matter to you today?
Okay, if you remember only one thing from all of this, let it be this right here. The most important lesson from punk has nothing to do with leather jackets or loud guitars. It's this: you don't have to be perfect to have a powerful voice. Your voice matters, even if it's a little messy or not perfectly polished.
So I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. Whether you want to make a video, write a song, start a podcast, whatever it is, what would you create if you stopped being afraid of it not being perfect? If you weren't afraid to be a little messy? Because that's the spirit of punk. It's about just doing it. So go on, go make some noise.